I want to start a series called Flag Friday, where every Friday I look at a different flag from every single country. And since today is 4th of July, I think it makes sense for our first flag to be the United States of America. Well, many have heard the story of Betsy Ross making the first American flag. It was actually naval flag designer and founding father Francis Hopkinson. Since we're about to go to design, I just want to talk about how they were going to add a stripe for every single state and just quickly stopped after 15 because they realized that was too many stripes. Speaking of like the design or the symbolism, let's talk about what it means. Charles Thomas, the Secretary of the Continental Congress, said that the flag means, and I quote, "The colors of the pales are those used in the flag of the United States of America. White signifies purity and innocence, red hardness and valor, and blue, the color of the chief, signifies vigilance, perseverance, and justice." While we're on the subject, this is what everyone basically knows about the American flag. Everyone basically knows that the 13 stripes in the American flag represent the 13 colonies that helped found America, and the 50 stars in the top left corner of the flag mean the 50 states. Naturally, this version of the American flag is the longest running version that has been used so far, and it was designed by a high school for a high school project. So that was kind of cool. Comment below what flag you want next. Welcome back to Flag Friday, and today we are covering the flag of Mauritius. If you don't know, Mauritius is an island African country around 1,200 miles away from the eastern African coast. The flag of Mauritius has 4 colors: red, blue, yellow, and green. Red represents the struggle of freedom from the United Kingdom. Blue represents the Indian Ocean. Yellow represents the light of freedom. And green represents their agriculture. The flag was designed by Garuda Maher, although not much information is known about him besides him being a school teacher. It's probably because when you think of countries, the first country that comes to your mind is probably not Mauritius. But this flag has been used for 57 years, since 1968. That's about it for today. Comment down below what flag you want me to talk about next. Welcome back to Flag Friday. And today, we're talking about the flag of St. Kitts and Nevis. Yes, I know I have other flag requests. I'm just getting through the ones that were left on the first episode first, and then going through them then. If you don't know, St. Kitts and Nevis is an island country in the Caribbean. The flag was adopted in 1983, the same year the country gained independence. The green in the flag represents the fertile land the island possesses, while the red represents their fight against slavery and colonialism, both of which were big problems for the island. The black in the flag represents the people's African origin, and finally the stars represent the 2 lines that make up the country, but also hope and liberty. The flag meaning and design can be traced back to Edward Lewis. Like the designer of the Mauritius flag that I did last episode, not much is known about him, and trust me, I looked on his Encyclopedia Britannica, there is nothing there. That wraps up today's Flag Friday. Which flag do you want to see next? Leave in the comments below. Oh, I need a flag for today. That will work. Welcome back to Flag Friday, and today we're talking about the flag of Canada. At this point, who doesn't know what the flag of Canada looks like? It's 2 red stripes and with a white stripe in the middle with a maple leaf on it. But unlike the previous 2 episodes, there is some information about the guy who actually made the flag. His name was George Stanley, and he was a historian at Mount Allison University, and he was the 25th Lieutenant Governor of New Brunswick. So that's something. The red represents Canada's strength, the white symbolizes peace, while the maple leaf is a long-standing emblem and shows the nation's heritage. The flag, in my opinion, is probably one of the most iconic flags of all time, probably because of its simplicity, because it's just really easy to draw and use anywhere. And don't worry, I will talk about Djibouti next week. That's all for this Friday. Comment down below what flag you want to see after Djibouti next week, because if someone's really adamant about talking about Djibouti. This is Flag Friday, and today is Djibouti. If you don't know, Djibouti is a country in the Horn of Africa with Somalia. Not much is known about how the flag came to be. It's just known how long the flag's been in use, which, by the way, it's 48 years. It is based off the front of the Liberation for the Somali Coast organization flag. It's basically that flag with flip that has lighter colors. Speaking of the colors, we need to talk about the meanings for those colors. The blue in the flag represents Bab el Mandeb, which is a strait between the Arabian Peninsula and the Horn of Africa, where Djibouti is located, as well as the Gulf of Tadjoura. However, this is contradicted by their national anthem, which refers that the blue means the sky. Anyways, the green represents the earth, the red symbolizes the bloodshed during their fight for independence, and the white represents peace. That's all for this Flag Friday. Comment down below what flag you want next. Welcome back to Flag Friday, and today we're talking about the flag of Brazil. I know I haven't uploaded Flag Friday in the past 2 weeks. I've just been busy adjusting to high school, but hopefully I can try to upload every Friday again. With that being said, let's actually talk about the flag of Brazil. The green and yellow from the imperial flag of Brazil were kept in the new design. The green and the imperial flag represent the House of Braganza of Pedro I, who was actually the first emperor of Brazil, while the yellow represented the House of Habsburg of Empress Leopoldina. The blue circle represents what the sky looked like in Rio de Janeiro on November 15th, 1889, and yes, it's true, I'm being 100% serious. And fun fact, like the United States flag, the Brazil flag gets updated every time a new state is added. There are 27 stars on the flag, and they are actually sized to the state's geographic size. The motto on the flag set by Auguste Comte says, "Love is a principle and order as the basis, progress as the goal." Before I forget to mention this, the flag was designed by Tiger Mendes, who also made the national motto of order and progress. And that's all for today. Comment down below what flag you want to see next. Welcome back to Flag Friday, and today we are talking about the flag of Jamaica. Sorry I didn't upload last week, I just genuinely forgot to upload, but here we are right now. Prior to the independence of Jamaica, over 360 flag designs were submitted to a bipartisan committee to pick the national flag, although the committee didn't like any design, so they just made their own flag design for the country. In the flag, the black represents the people's strength and creativity, gold for the wealth and sunshine in the country, and green for the lush vegetation. That's basically all this week. Comment down below what flag you want me to talk about next. Welcome back to Flag Friday, and today we're talking about the Vatican City, or the Vatican, or the Vatican City State, or the Holy See, or whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to be calling it the Vatican this entire episode just to make things simpler for me. If you don't know the entire history of how the Vatican became an independent country, it's just insanely complicated, and I don't really know how to explain that. But for simple terms, the Vatican is where the head of the Catholic Church resides, aka the Pope, inside of Rome. It is also the smallest country in the world that has legal recognition. I am sorry, Sealand, your rough tower does not count as a country. Let's finally get back to the flag. On the flag, it has the papal tiara and the keys of heaven, also known as keys of St. Peter on it, which are on the white side of the flag, which the white represents the earthly authority, which I'm not exactly sure what that means. If someone can tell me what it means in the comments, that would be greatly appreciated. And the yellow represents the Pope's heavenly authority in the Catholic religion. This flag is also very weird with the fact that it's not in the rectangle shape most flags are in, but it is a square, which is just very, very weird. That's basically all for today. Comment down below what flag you want me to talk about next. Welcome back to Flag Friday, and today we're talking about the flag of Singapore. If you don't know, Singapore is a country in Asia that is described as a city-state due to its small size, but is also known as a major financial hub and home to a lot of major ethnic groups in the country as well. Singapore's flag was adopted in 1959 after their independence from the British Empire. Speaking of the Singapore flag, let's actually talk about the flag. Singapore's flag is split into a red half and a white half. The red half represents the equality of all people, while the white half represents the nation's commitment to good governance. Finally, the moon represents the young nation on the rise, while the 5 stars represent the nation's ideals of democracy, peace, progress, justice, and equality. That's all for this Flag Friday. Comment down below what flag you want me to talk about next. Welcome back to Flag Friday, and today we're talking about the flag of Eswatini, or Swaziland. If you don't know, Eswatini is a landlocked country in southern Africa, being bordered by, who can guess, South Africa and Mozambique. The flag was adopted on October 6, 1968, after the nation gained independence from the United Kingdom. Now let's actually start talking about the flag. The red represents past battles for the nation's sovereignty, while the blue represents the peace the nation has achieved. And finally, yellow represents the country's wealth. That is primarily because of its mineral resources. You may also recognize the black and white Nguni shield, which is a traditional Swazian weapon. The spears and staff represent their readiness for the events. That's basically all for today. Comment down below what flag you want to see next. Welcome back to Flag Friday, and today we're talking about the flag of Niger. If you don't know, Niger is a landlocked country in West Africa. Niger is known for having a part of the Saharan Desert and having its economy be reliant off its agriculture. Now let's get to the flag. The flag of Niger was adopted on November 23rd, 1959, or 65 years ago, shortly after their independence from France. Orange in the flag represents the Saharan Desert, which is, like I mentioned before, is a part of Niger. The white in the flag represents security and peace inside the country, while the green represents the fertile agriculture. The orange disc in the center represents the sun. That's all for today. Comment down below what flag you want me to talk about next. Welcome back to Flag Friday, and today we're talking about the flag of the Falkland Islands. If you don't know, the Falkland Islands are a set of islands classified as British overseas territory, and for some bizarre reason, this small place with 3,000 people somehow had a war over it for 2 whole months between Argentina and the United Kingdom. The current flag was adopted in 1999, or 26 years ago. The flag contains the Union Jack in the top left corner. It has the island's coat of arms, which has a white ram, which is prominent because the island is known for sheep farming. It also has a ship named Desire on it, which was supposedly the first ship to land on the islands back in 1592. Finally, the scroll has a motto on it, Desire the Right, which is a play on words with the ship names and the claims to the rights of the island. Well, that's all for today. Comment down below what flag you want me to talk about next. Welcome back to Flag Friday, and today we're talking about the flag of Corsica. For some background knowledge, Corsica is an island off the coast of France that is considered one of the 18 regions of the country. The flag features a Moor's head, and while I'm not going to talk about it directly in this video, the symbol of the Moor's head is by today's standards, kind of offensive to say the least. If you want to look more into this topic, just look it up, as I, for one, probably not the best person who should be telling you about this. Anyways, the flag was originally adopted by the Corsican Republic until France in 1769 annexed the island. It wasn't until 2 centuries later in 1980 where the flag was re-adopted into what it is today. Side note, why is the flag just the white void? They couldn't have at least like put a background color or something? Seriously, Corsica, get your game up. Comment down below what flag you want me to talk about next. Welcome back to Flag Friday, and today we're talking about the flag of Transylvania. By the way, today is Halloween, so I am dressing up as the pretty fly for a white guy from The Offspring. If you didn't know, Transylvania is a historic region in modern-day Romania, and I picked today because it's Halloween and like vampires and stuff, I guess. I don't really know. The flag of Transylvania is derived from its coat of arms, which is the central element of the flag. The black eagle represents a Hungarian notability, with the sun and the moon representing a Hungarian-speaking group, which I am not learning how to pronounce this name. The 7 red towers at the bottom represent their main fortified towns. And I think that's all for today. Comment down below what flag you want me to talk about next, and happy Halloween. Welcome back to Flag Friday, and today we're talking about the flag of Vietnam. The red background symbolizes revolution and bloodshed. The gold star in the middle represents the soul of the nation, while the 5 points of the star represent the 5 classes: intellectuals, farmers, workers, entrepreneurs, and soldiers. The flag was first adopted to oppose Japanese military occupation and French colonialism in 1941, and it became their flag after they declared independence after World War II. And after the Vietnam War, it was adopted as a unified flag for both the North and South. That's all for this Flag Friday. Comment down below what flag you want to see next. Welcome back to Flag Friday, and today we're talking about the flag of Australia. The Australia flag has 3 main symbols on the flag: the Union Jack, the Southern Cross, and the Commonwealth Star. The Union Jack represents the United Kingdom, who Australia was a colony of. The Commonwealth Star has 7 points, which represents the 6 federal colonies and the territory of Papua. Finally, the Southern Cross has 4 main stars, which represent justice, prudence, temperance, and fortitude, with those 4 having 7 points, while the 5th star has 5. That's all for this Flag Friday. Comment down below what flag you want to see next. Welcome back to Flag Friday, and today we're talking about the flag of Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein is one of the few countries that are double landlocked, and also they are one of the smallest countries in the world. The flag is split into 2 halves, a red half and a blue half. The blue represents the sky, which is why it's at the top, while the red, quote, alludes to the evening fires that are lit inside houses throughout the country, which I think is a really weird thing to include on a flag. But what's weirder is the crown in the top left corner. So imagine the Liechtenstein flag, but without the crown, there was just nothing there. It was just blue on the top, red off the bottom. Yeah, that's what the Haiti flag and Liechtenstein flag both looked like in 1937. And so since the Olympics were happening around that time, the Olympic Committee wanted them to change the flag so they can at least differentiate them, and Liechtenstein just threw in a crown at the top left corner, which is better than what Haiti added. It's not that hard to get rid of a white border. I can do that for you right now. Look, I fixed it. But I guess that's all for today. Comment down below what flag you want me to talk about next. Welcome back to Flag Friday, and today we're talking about the flag of Chile. If you don't know, Chile is a country in South America, which, at least for me, is known for its long coastline on the west coast. Now let's actually talk about the flag. The red on the flag represents the blood of the Chilean people who fought for their independence. The white represents snow coming from the Andes Mountains. The blue represents the color of the sky. And finally, the star in the blue represents the fact that Chile is a unitary republic, which is a political system where there is a centralized power controlling the republic. That's all for today. Comment down below what flag you want me to talk about next. Welcome back to Flag Friday, and today we're talking about the flag of Slovakia. If you don't know, Slovakia is a country in Europe who used to be a part of Czechoslovakia until split in 1993. The flag features the pan-Slavic colors, red, blue, and white, which have been used by and still being used by many Slavic countries, including Slovakia. It also features the coat of arms of Slovakia, which was designed by this man's name, which I can't be bothered to learn how to pronounce all the way. That's all for this Flag Friday. Comment down below what flag you want me to talk about next. Welcome back to Flag Friday, and today is the flag of Ghana. Ghana is a country in West Africa, and in 1957 they adopted their flag, which is also at the same time the country gained its independence. The flag was designed by Theodosia Oko. Her flag contains the Ethiopian and Pan-African colors of red, gold, and green. The red represents the struggle for independence, the gold represents the mineral wealth of the nation, and the green represents the forests and natural resources. And the black 5-pointed star in the middle helps show African unity and freedom. That's all for this Flag Friday. Comment down below what flag you want me to talk about next.